Namaste and welcome. In our interaction with you today, three faculty members from Faculty of Business and Commerce will communicate with you on three issues of prime concern. Number one, we understand that the discipline of management is ever evolving and it has continuously changed itself. So talking about the paradigm concepts or the ancient concepts of management is not enough. Keeping this in mind, Dr. Meghashri Agarwal Dadij will talk to you on the concept of dynamic management. In our second phase of this session today, we want to let you know what the industry is expecting from the graduates of today, how a good graduate or an effective graduate should be. What should be the graduate attribute? This is our concept and topic for our second phase, which will be delivered to you by Mrs. Kanchan Wader. And I will see you again when I want to talk to you in third phase of this session about the only constant is change.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Meghashri from Atmiya University. First of all, I would like to wish you all a very happy and healthy life ahead. Today, I would like to discuss upon dynamic management. But before moving ahead for this topic, I would like to address a very common answer that may arises many of the times in our mind. That is why education, right? So we all have a body and it is our prime responsibility to nurture our body. The ways to nurture our body can be any, like healthy food, then yoga, we need to do yoga, we need to do exercise, meditation and so on. So ultimate aim is what we have to nurture the body. Similarly, we have a mind also, and it is our equally prime responsibility to nurture our mind. So the ways to nurture our mind can be healthy thoughts, uplift our understanding, and one of the good ways is education. So here with this concept I would like to move ahead while keeping a very prime responsibility with us that education plays a very, very important and leading role in our life. So let's just dynamic. So it is actually a multi-dimensional approach. It's not to be only busy. It's actually to be productive. It's not to do tasks directionlessly. It's to be task oriented, aiming ultimately achievement of goal. And the another thing is stimulate growth and development. Not only the growth and development of yourself. It is a matter of ensuring growth and development of the whole. Then only we can proceed ahead. And if we talk about management, so it is a very organized and a systematic approach. We all are doing management in our day-to-day life also, consciously, unconsciously also. But are we truly streamlining all such efforts or not? This is a question mark. So management is a program which actually gives you insight that how to convert some untapped, undirection efforts in a direction, so that ultimately we will achieving a goal. We all are having some goals in our life, but the question arises that whether we are achieving those goals or not, because we may not having a concrete plan behind achievement of those goals. So when we talk about management, so ultimately it is to be productive. It is to achieve great potential. It can be in favor to accomplish the goals, to achieve greater opportunities also. So we all are also doing management of our events, of many of the functions, family programs also. So what are the aim behind all such management? So actually there are few common aims which management also teaches to everyone. So those aims can be, we ultimately needs to complete our events, our programs, our day-to-day activities in a one shot, so that there may not be any wastage of time, wastage of resources also, there may not be any duplication of work also. These all things are in our mind while performing our day-to-day activities. Similarly, when we talk about management of any organization, all such things plays a very important role. So that's why we always say, whenever we talk about definition of management, so we always say management is what? Getting work done through others. Management is what? Planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, and so on. Management is a teamwork. So all such things are required because we ultimately wants to ensure no duplication, completion of work in a one shot without wastage of resources, as well as we want to ensure achievement of our goals which we might have pre-decided. So keeping all such things in the mind, let's discuss about the dynamic management. As per the traditional approach of management, you might heard that management is art and science. Management is what? Teamwork. Management is a conversion of plan into action. Management defines planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, budgeting, and reporting. So definitely all such things are very, very important. But let's understand some new dynamics also when we talk about management, and specifically dynamic management. Like art and science plays a very vital role, but ultimately we want to get work done through more effectively and efficiently. Okay, similarly if we talk about planning, organizing, and so on, so everything may give us success or may not. So ultimately if we are targeting continuous goal oriented approach, then only this planning, organizing, staffing, directing will play a very important role for as per the management. When we talk about work unitedly, so it should be having a approach of interpersonal and informational approach. Okay, so and on the other hand, when we talk about plan into action, so this should be this must have a proactive action approach, proactive problem solving approach. We know that there are few people who may have the active or aggressive or proactive approach. So successful people always have a proactive approach. That means they always visualize and predict some upcoming aspects that can be favorable or unfavorable. If those results will be favorable, then definitely they will succeed, they will move ahead. But if those results are unfavorable, then they will not feel failure. They will be having plan A, B, C, D, and so on to execute. So immediately they do the corrective actions and move ahead. So that's why we are saying here that the dynamic management plays a very, very important role. If we talk about the principles of management, basically, so generally management is what? We must have vision, mission, objectives, goals, action, plannable action, realistic actions, corrective actions, checklist, and so on. But do you really think that when one side we are talking about all such things and another side we are saying that management is getting work done through others, so do you really think that it is that much easy? May not, but it will become easy if we will be working on our own personality first of all. So here I would like to address all such principles of traditional management with the dynamic management. Let's discuss one by one. When we talk about vision, so a team, an organization must work for a common vision. This is a very common phenomena which we discuss many of the times. But ultimately, if we don't have inspiration, that is known as self-inspiration, then we can't communicate that self-inspiration to others in terms of vision, and then definitely they may not work in a streamlined manner to achieve the goal of organization. That's why self-inspiration plays a very, very important role to design a vision. Then if we talk about the mission, so what next we are supposed to do, what kind of strategies we are supposed to frame, those strategies must ensure best results to us, may not give us the failures, and if we may fail, then we must have another strategic plan also to execute. All such things can become easy actually if we have a self motivation. So if we as a leader will be having self motivation, then definitely we can motivate to the whole team directly and indirectly through formal or informal communication, and there may not be a gap between achievement of vision through goal, mission, and so on. Then next, let's talk about goal. So for goal, we must have a self-determination. If we have self-determination to do something better, to achieve something in our life, okay, if our path is very much clear, then only we can communicate it to the others. So likewise, I would like to address self-determination with goal over here. Next is action plan. What we are doing, why are we doing, shall we do or not, is any corrective actions required in our doings or not. All such things must be analyzed in our mind at the time when we are doing our work. So that's why we are saying that action plan is actually directly associated with what? Self commitment. So if we are committed by our own, then only that committed promise is going to be communicated amongst our team members of an organization. Then it is not like that whatever we are doing, we will be doing accurately, exactly in a best manner, in a one shot. As a human, we may commit many of the mistakes also. So repeatedly, that evaluation must go on in our mind. If we are able to evaluate ourselves, then only we will be able to evaluate others at a fair ground, and then only our evaluation is going to be acceptable by others, and there may be a scope for the improvement also. That's why I addressed self-evaluation directly with the checklist over here. And lastly but not least, when we talk about the corrective actions, you might heard many of the philosophies behind corrective actions also. If we talk about production, so there is a preventive maintenance philosophy, Six Sigma approach also. So these are the approach which ensures actually 99.99% accuracy in the system. So we too need to ensure bestest performance and 99.99% accuracy in our performance also. So for that we say is that if we have a ability to self-control on our actions, on our thoughts, on our plannings, if it is required some correctiveness, then we need to do it on time. So that comes under the part of corrective actions. So I try to connect all such things: vision, mission, goal, action plan, checklist, and corrective action on the basis of the self-inspiration, self-motivation, self-determination, self-commitment, self-evaluation, and self-control. Because ultimately, being a representative of any organization, it is our prime responsibility to become, first of all, self-inspired person, self-motivated person, self-determined person, self-committed, self-evaluated, and self-controlled person. If we don't have all such things as a personality trait among us, then definitely we may not be able to motivate others, to inspire others for work together in favor to achieve a common goal. Let's discuss about the dimensions of dynamic management. If we talk about the traditional management, so you might heard leadership skills, you might heard that management is what? A decision making approach. Management requires time management requires end results, all such things. But again, my question is very simple over here, that after reading all such books, do we really think that it is that much easy to implement in the real life? So we need to again work out on some hidden aspects. So if we talk about leadership skills, I tried to communicate leadership skills very shortly and smartly among all of you, in front of all of you, through 3 E's. Yes, a leader must have enthusiastic, energetic, and eminent personality, approach. If all, definitely we would like to accept his approach, we would like to follow him, we would like to implement his ideas, views, decision makings in the real practices also. So that's why I tried to address it through 3 E's. Let's talk about the decision making. When we talk about decision making, so it's not like today we have taken a decision and suppose it is not correct decision, then tomorrow we will change our decision, and it is like trial and error is going on. Because in this competitive era, whatever decision we are taking, it should actually give best result to the whole organization, to us also, to the small and major all entity actually. So that's why I try to address it through RID. So our decision must have a remarkable, inspirational, and determined approach. So if we will be compiling our decision making under this basket, then definitely we can say that this is what a dynamic management. Then the next is what? Result oriented. I tried it to address it in the form of CAP, which stands with the charismatic, ambitious, and perseverance approach. So ultimately every result must have a charismatic results. If we are giving that outstanding performances in an organization, then definitely nobody is going to raise question mark on us. There is no insecurity regarding our performance also. There is a very clear approach that what we are doing, why are we doing, how much resources are we going to consume, and so on. So that's why we are saying that now it's a time to shift from management as a traditional approach to the management as a modern approach under the title of dynamic management. But definitely these three key aspects plays a very, very vital role. Here we need to understand some traits also, because when we talk about personality as a human, so there are some traits or personality skills, some between inculcate among us. So what are those traits? First of all, we need to build a trust and healthy relationship with everyone, because ultimately, as we said, that it is getting work done through others, but we have added that getting work done through others efficiently and effectively. So definitely building trust among our team members and getting their and maintaining good relationships with them is very, very important. Then the next, when we talk about if we talk about next aspect, it is what prioritize task effectively. As I already said, that it is not a matter to be only busy. Okay, it's a matter to be productive. So to be productive, definitely we need to list out the tasks and then we need to prioritize them. Okay, there may be many of the tasks which are very important but may not be very urgent, and vice versa. Tasks which are very urgent but may not be very important. So likewise we can scrutinize them, and tasks which are very urgent and very important has to be performed first. Then the next is critical decision making. Whenever we are taking decision, we need to visualize actually some pros and cons behind those decision making also, because every decision making will lead to the change. That's why we have the next session on change also. So whether people are going to accept that change or not is a question mark. Okay, so if you have taken a decision critically, where you are knowing that these are the plus points or positive aspects of my decision, and these may be some minus aspects, negative aspects of decision, but we will be overcoming through so and so things. If we will be evaluating critically all such things, then definitely people will accept those changes. Then the next is what? Develop new ideas to solve problems. See, we should not have some orthodox kind of approach or a decision making that whatever I have decided based on my experience, learnings and so on, this is going to execute in an organization or else in our life also. Because ultimately we need to ensure learn, unlearn and relearn approach throughout the life. So it may happen that we learn something at an ancient era, at a particular time frame, but it is not that much effective while executing in the current scenario. So we need to learn, unlearn and relearn continuously, and we need to invite some innovative ideas to solve such problems also. Then cultivate emotional intelligence. It is very, very important when we talk about management. Okay, you might heard EQ, IQ, SQ and so on. So earlier IQ was very, very important. Companies were appointing people on the basis of judging their IQ. Then they shifted to judge IQ as well as EQ also, and currently they have shifted towards SQ2, because it found that people are very much emotionally attached with their birthplaces, with their family, with their office area and so on. That's why they are not moving from here to there, and if they moved also, then they may come back also, they may leave jobs also. So ultimately we need to have a proper balance between IQ, EQ and SQ. So how to cultivate it? This is a question mark. So management program provides you all such skills, dynamic skills in a bouquet, where you will be building trust about your even confidence also, and you will be building healthy relationships with each other, where you will be learning that how to prioritize our tasks effectively on the urgent and important basis, as I said, where you will be critically evaluating each pros and cons under 3 dimensions: optimistic, pessimistic and most likely situations. So, and then you will be learning how to take best decision. Then new ideas are always invited when we talk about the higher education. So we always try to inculcate skills through which students can learn new ideas, can solve their problems in an innovative way, and definitely we conduct many of the seminars, webinars as well as outbound training programs also, through which you will be strengthening your emotional intelligence. And you, first of all, you need to understand your own responsibility and you need to own them. Okay, ultimately if we are not owning our responsibilities, then definitely it may be difficult to convince others and to make a teamwork, to ensure a teamwork and to perform in a concrete and envisioned way. So with this brief about dynamic management, I would like to wish you all the best for your future and good wishes from the side of Atmiya University. Thank you everyone.
Namaste students. I believe that you will agree with me when I say that till your standard 12th सबसे अच्छे मार्क्स गेन करना ही आपके लिए काफ़ी हो जाता था. But when you are entering into the college, stepping that another stone is a task wherein only getting the good marks is not enough. So सिर्फ आपका ध्यान दोहराना चाहती हूँ एक ऐसी इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ पे जो बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है when you buy your product. Yes, I mean the product. Now what do I mean when I say a product? Students, when you buy a product called Bachelor of Engineering or Bachelor of Commerce or Bachelor of Science, at that time in your head what goes is the quality check. Now the criterias of this quality check can be the good infrastructure that your university is providing you, the placements, the resources, faculty members' experiences, your seniors' views, so on and so forth. But if you will compare a bit of this with you going to buy a mobile phone. Now when you are entering to buy a mobile phone, what kind of quality check criterias do you have in your head? Aren't they completely different? At that time, you experience that thing and then buy your product. Wherein, because this is a service sector, experiencing the course is not possible for you. So the only criteria which I already named are in a sequence that can be just, gone through. So here comes an important aspect that can actually lead you to a better choice. Yes, so when we're talking about graduate attributes here, graduate attributes is a kind of roadmap. A roadmap that can bridge the gap between your expectations and the experience. Yes, so going ahead with the flow that we have in the presentation, this can be the ideal roadmap for an undergraduate. We know that we have two options. When we will be completing our graduation, our graduate course, we will be either an employee or an employer. And for this, what is the requirement? I will be either doing a job or I will be hiring a people to do the jobs. So what is the ultimate requirement to perform these roles? The requirements are limited. If we will try to bifurcate them, આપણા પાસે ત્રણ ચોઇસીસ આવશે. એ ત્રણ ચોઇસીસ કે એ ત્રણ પેરામીટર્સ જે ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે આર knowledge, skill and attitude. Now if I go to buy my product called Bachelor of Engineering, how is that going to assure me that knowledge, skill and attitude are the kind of components which are there, which will be delivered as the course, right? So how that can be done is our ultimate goal. Now for this roadmap, if we will consider the requirements, we will get to know that the kind of scenario which is already going on is something wherein employability is the biggest challenge that India is facing. Right? After completing the course, when I have 3 components set to be got, but I do not get it. Why? How? These are the report facts that we have. Now the third line, if you can actually zoom out and if you can focus on, it says that India is the young nation with 65% of population below the age of 35 years. That means it is you. So is this a demographic dividend or disaster? Why that leads us to this statement? Because this 65% of population do not have a direction of where do they want to go and where are they heading. till now, till 12th standard, the only goal was gaining marks, wherein after getting into the college, the scenario changes. There, only getting the good marks is neither the focus of the student nor the requirement of any university. So how this 65% can be molded in a way so that it actually becomes a dividend for us and not a disaster. The report facts are already mentioned. This acts as one of the speed breakers in our roadmap. What is the travel history? I mean, one of the point that you consider is the students' views, your seniors. You do ask them, how was your experience of taking this course? How was your experience of studying at this university? That acts as one of the components of getting the admission into that particular university or college. Yes. So what does that say? That says 40% of your seniors that job had been incorrect or misleading. 28% says that they were employed them, it was not really a right cultural fit. And 32% says that it was a negative experience at the time of giving interview. Why does this happen? Because the students are not really ready for that particular time. Their focus is still on gaining good marks and not really becoming an individual having good knowledge, skills and attitude. Yes. So what is the solution actually? You would be wondering upon after this much of facts and data, what is there in this particular topic for you? So what's in it for me? What's in it for you? Your questions, what, why and how graduate attributes can help you. The answers are here. The first and the most important answer is why graduate attributes. Because if for you to understand this very simply, you can identify it in a way. If there is any university who is designing its course on the basis of graduate attributes as one of the component that will help them to plan the curriculum better. So the curriculum will not be in a traditional way, right? It would be a kind of component. It will be a kind of mixture or blend of all the components that are required for a graduate to grow. So why? To plan the curriculum in an effective way. What is graduate attribute? So graduate attribute is a component that identifies qualities, skills and understandings that a university community agrees its students should develop during their time with the institution. So this is GA or graduate attribute is the quality, skill and understanding how it can be enhanced in students that are identified. See, whenever we are talking about any particular community, a community always have a kind of outcome on which they want to work upon. If you do not have the outcome, you cannot really lead the process in an effective or successful way. So a community, when we say community, we mean the authority bodies like UGC, NBA. They have this graduate attributes, 12 graduate attributes listed, to which we will have a look, which are stated in a way that are really very important for an undergraduate to grow. So what? And the last question that we usually have in our mind is how graduate attributes can be inculcated as a part of curriculum so that it can be learned in groups and so on. So this can be developed in a kind of process so that students can become very much confident at the work environment if they are employed and can self-employ themselves as well. Yes, so these are the answers of what, why and how graduate attributes work for you. Then we have the formal definition of what are graduate attributes. So the formal definition says that it is a kind of, graduate attributes kinds of identifies the gap between what we teach in the classroom and what knowledge, skills and attitudes students should develop program wide. We have understood, students, till now that there is this gap. You always keep blaming that there are these many gaps or loopholes in the system. So how these gaps can be identified and worked upon is the main objective here of graduate attributes. So the answers of the questions can be like what students can do. After identifying graduate attributes, we will be able to answer the questions like what students can do and how does their performance compare to our stated expectations, as we always want. Yes, we always have a state of expectations and we want to experience the same expectations that we have. Remember, when you go to a theater, you have a kind of expectations. You want the temperature to be correct. You want the parking facilities to be actually the way it has to be. You want the order in control. You want helping staff. These are all your expectations. And the service providers always take care of bridging this gap of your expectations by giving correct experiences. Graduate attributes as a component works same in that same direction to give you the kind of experience that you want and you deserve. Yes. So what is the importance of GA? As we go ahead, now here there is an important direction on which we can have a sentence or two of discussion. Students, if we talk about this particular scenario, this is Education 4.0 with reference to Industry 4.0 scenario. If you look at the traditional system earlier, when we started gathering up in the classrooms and we started teaching learning process, at that time the education process was very much teacher centric. What kind of facilities or ways through which teachers can educate to the students in the classroom were focused in the first phase. In the second phase, we tried to inculcate more of audiovisual elements or the other aspects through which we can enhance the learning of students. The 3.0 phase, the third phase, focused more of what customers, that means what actually students require, and we had a paradigm shift. And now in the Education 4.0, what we require is we are not focusing on teachers, how will they be able to educate students in a way that they feel comfortable in, or audiovisual aspects, or only on students, but we are talking of the holistic development of all the partakers or students sitting in the classroom. So for that sake, these are the inputs that we have. You will be able to relate with them as we go ahead. Students pre-university background, faculty education or professional status, ongoing FDP programs, class sizes, content, campus resources, contact hours, lab equipments, support services. These are all the inputs that a university gives in just to get one output, that a confident UG or undergraduate students with equipped knowledge, skills and attitude. Yes, so this is how Education 4.0 has actually placed us or put in us in a scenario wherein we need to focus how students can, even if they want to learn machine learning while being a science student, or if they want to know something about machines or artificial intelligence by being a business students, we do provide them certain facilities and attributes through which they can do this. Now after talking about all these what, why, how and the roadmap, it leads us to a place wherein we will be able to talk about how this can be actually done. So this is the pillar of our Education 4.0 philosophy. It is called Bloom's taxonomy. Now Bloom's taxonomy says, if you'll compare both the pictures which are in front of you, the first picture says it starts with creating and it goes till remembering. And if you'll go to the example which is just given to explain it better, it starts with knowing, understanding, applying, analyzing, synthesizing and creating. Now let us take a simple example to understand this better, students. Suppose you are an art student. You're already learning your English, your bachelor in English, and you want to know certain things about electricity. Now, how will you be doing this? This Education 4.0 philosophy, wherein we have considered graduate attribute as one of the components, how this system will make you able to do this. You will be able to remember things. When we say remember, you will learn all the concepts till now that were fabricated on electricity, how electricity can be generated. So the remembering or knowing phase comes, Then you actually go to the second phase, which is understanding. You understand all the theories which are given till now by different authors, by different people in the world. Then applying how these concepts can be applied and were applied in the past. Analyzing the application part. If we generated electricity from X medium, it can also be generated from Y, Z, and so on, as we have the scopes now. So analyzing, then synthesizing all the concepts that you studied till now, and then actually creating the product that you want on the basis of the Bloom's taxonomy. So how a university system allows you to do so? It can be done through the implication of graduate attributes. If the course of your university is designed by keeping graduate attributes in the center. So I have just taken a very simple example of how we can bridge this gap of students' expectations and the experience that a university is providing. Yes, so these are some of the graduate attributes that I have tried to take in here and how it can be replicated in a course. So the graduate attributes which are given here are depth and breadth of the knowledge in whatever field and whatever genre you are getting, knowledge of methodology, application of knowledge. The first 3 points are related to knowledge. Then communication skill, team dynamics, autonomy and professional capacity, ethics and equity, problem analysis, and lifelong learning. Now you will agree with me, students, that only learning one course, only knowing about arts or commerce or science is no way the only thing to do. We need to have all these attributes in us to lead a happy and successful life. If we do not talk even about life, if we only consider the professional aspect, either, as I already said, you will be an employee or you will be an employer. These are the attributes which are your requirements. So how this can be done, how this can be inculcated in any course is stated here. We have just taken one example of one course, that is engineering practice. Now in that, if you can look at grade attributes supported. So the graduate attributes which are mentioned here are communication, individual and teamwork, professionalism, lifelong learning, problem analysis, investigations, ethics and equity. Now how this can be actually learned in the classroom? It is instructional method can be design project, experimental project, or modeling activity. How this will be assessed? The next question that comes in your head. Project reports, oral presentations, peer evaluation, supervisor evaluation, all rubric based. Now rubric is again a different aspect that we can learn about, but that acts for now, you can understand it in a way that rubric is one of the tools which allows you to assess students' progress in different ways. Just not by giving traditional pen and paper exam. This will give you the liberty to work in a team, to actually brainstorm or stimulate through your thought process, and the teachers or the university will be able to assess you on the basis of that too. Yes, so this is one of the example of how graduate attributes can be inculcated in any course and how you can learn better. Yes, to enhance this a little better, I have kept one more process flow to understand how this can be, how graduate attributes can be made a part of any course. So it starts with identifying the major objective. That is the first thing. You know, whenever you decide any course, any particular course, suppose you are deciding B Pharm. So what is your objective of deciding or taking the B Pharm course? That has to be clear. Now with B Pharm, what are the qualities, what are the other attributes that the students need to develop? That gets identified at the first place at the time of curriculum designing. Yes, then it goes to creating indicators, how the way in which a student is progressing, that needs to be indicated. So those indicators are created. Then a map to courses or experiences are designed. It goes to identifying appropriate tools to assess, as we already saw. Course changes or measure, as in when you go through, you always identify that these are the kind of changes that could have been made. So those changes are incorporated, analyzation and evaluation of data gets done, and then program improvement after every semester or year in which the system in which you have. Yes, and then again doing the same cycle. So this is how the inculcation or incorporation of graduate attribute with whatever course you are getting into can be done. So here I have listed the 12 graduate attribute lists that we have according to NBA or UGC that should be made a part of any course, because only learning that particular course, only learning business administration, only learning commerce, only learning arts is not really sufficing. So these are the kind of components, they can be identified according to the needs of the course, and it can be made a part of course so that the students can learn cognition, competence and character. This is how I have actually tried to bifurcate knowledge, skill and aptitude. To make it a little easy, I have bifurcated it in 3 C's, which is cognition. Cognition is your knowledge, which is related with your brain. Competence, which is related with your body. Skill and character, which is related to your attitude. Why have I written this brain, body and bad mood is because if you'll try to see students that each one of us have the same 24 hours, that means same body capacity, same brain capacity. We are not talking about exceptional cases, otherwise we have the same brain capacity and the attitude. Now attitude is the one part on which we need to focus. आप हर बार ऐसा बोलते रहते हो कि मूड नहीं है. We have everything, we can do this and that, but mood nahi hai. So if you do not have a mood, it is up to you how you change it according to the requirement. Because once you complete your graduate studies, your graduate course, you will not have the easy place or easy trajectory to follow. You will have a lot many options to choose from, a lot many decisions to be done. So how that can be done? If we will be focusing on knowledge, skill and attitude, how they can be reformed, we will be able to land in a good position. I know that most of the universities are doing it. I just wish that you make the correct choice so that you land to a correct place in your future. Yes, students, I just wanted to share this information with you so that this is the time, because this is the time during which you will be making your decision of choosing any university to getting yourself enrolled. I really wish that you make the correct decision by asking this one simple question to whichever university you are taking admission in. Is their syllabus or curriculum is designed by keeping graduate attributes in the center? By the time you will come out of the campus, what kind of skills, what kind of knowledge and what kind of attitude will you have along with your degree? Yes, so all the very best students. I really hope that you make the correct choice. Thank you so much.
Parivartanameva sthiramasti, which means the only constant is change. Change can be difficult, it can be painful, and it can also be helpful. But change is inevitable. Let me show you what I mean by that. In front of you is an example of a company called IBM, International Business Machine. It was founded in 1911. What it started with? It started with the concept of and later massive mainframe computers and calculators. But today it has not stopped its production to that only. It is now providing softwares, consultancy and IT services. Monsanto. This is a name of company you must have heard so many times when you would have heard about providing seasonal fruit throughout the year, the credit of providing crops which are not approved by climate condition in places where it was not supposed to grow but now it's growing. The credit of the same goes to Monsanto because it is now providing genetically engineered seeds. But it did not start with it. It started by providing saccharine. GE, that is General Electric, It was started by Thomas Alva Edison to bring together all his innovations, including light bulb. But light bulb went ahead with so many other products like gas engines, hybrid locomotives, ultrasound devices, and chemical sensors. Fortune Brands, again a company that started with a complete different product in the genre of tobacco products. But now it provides home furnishing, golf clubs, and cabinets. DuPont, which was invented with the purpose to provide black gunpowder, an explosive, has taken complete U-turn to provide us protectives such as weatherization systems. Our most favorite and history's most favorite company is Apple, which was started by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. It started with personal computer, the unique concept of that time, and it did not stop. It stuck to its tagline of think different. It provided iPad, iPod, online music through iTunes, iPhones, etc., and it did not still stop there. In the last case of 3M, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing Company, which was started by 5 businessmen almost a century ago. And then it converted into making scotch pads, duct tapes, post-it notes, cleaning products. These companies and these concepts tell us that if you stick to the same thing for a longer of time, you'll be known for what you did, not for what you are doing. That means you become a commodity of past. So why change? It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one that is most adaptive to change. This quote by Charles Darwin says it all. Now, if you do not change, what happens to you? Probably you end up being like Nokia. Nokia is a company which invented, but then it did not stick to it. What it did, it started with paper mill concept. It was providing products of paper. Then it diverted into providing mobile phones. But then it stopped. It could not continue with its invention, and so it died. Do we know what it is doing now? No idea. Yahoo. See, in front of your screen, there are 3 line charts representing the condition of 3 different companies of the same industry: Yahoo, Google, and Microsoft. Why Yahoo did not survive, wherein other 2 companies in the same industry survived? The problem was not with the product. The problem was not even with the industry. The problem was being late in adaptive to change. The purple line of Yahoo shows that the curve was not increasing in the initial phase, but it started increasing after other 2 companies, namely Google and Microsoft, responded. And by that time, when Yahoo started to respond, it was already late because the complete market share was distributed among these 2 giants. Change is not easy, but it is necessary. As I said, change is painful, but it is also helpful. Let us see what kind of problem you may feel if you want to introduce change. Number 1, in terms of organizational development, change is necessary. Xerox as the example and PepsiCo as the example will tell you the bipolar situation of being adaptive versus being not adaptive. Xerox was a company that was the pioneer in invention of PC, personal computer. But what happened? The top management could not support the idea. The then CEO of Xerox, avoided by saying that the future of the company lies in the copy machine manufacturing. Versus PepsiCo. You see the face, familiar face, Indra Nooyi, the then CEO of PepsiCo. Doing good is also not easy because doing good requires to change the existing situation. She promoted the idea of performance with purpose. See, the companies around globe think about giving back as a concept of CSR, that is corporate social responsibility. But at the time when Indra Nooyi was promoted at the head of corporation as Chief Executive Officer for PepsiCo. She hated this idea. She hated it because she wanted to say that when company makes profit, it neglects the other aspect of corporation. That means if you want to give back, you do not give back at the end you have earned all the profit, but you give back along with the concept or the process of making profit. And she gave that title Performance with Purpose. In this campaign, initially, see, there are different brand names connected to PepsiCo, famous brand names like Layers and other beverages like Pepsi, Miranda, Mountain Dew, etc. When Indra Nooyi became CEO, she observed that public health was at its worst in United States of America. If you consume lot of potato chips, which was a concept from which the potato couch word derived. So if you consume lot of potato chips, you end up being victim of obesity after number of years. And that was a threat to public health. If you consume beverages which has lot of sugar component in it, you also develop several kind of health related problem after consuming of number of years. So she wanted to introduce less proportion of salt within the same flavor of potato chips. But the stakeholders, apart from customer, the shareholders and board members avoided this idea because their prime focus was to give most tasty chips available in the market, be it at the cost of consumers. Now that was the idea which was rejected, but after several attempts, which was continued for, she succeeded, and now she is considered as a thought leader of the same company even after not being associated as designated CEO. So what I mean to say is, when you introduce change, it might not seem easy, it might not seem appealing, but the rewards of it, if done with the right intention and with right direction, are always good. Now, question in front of us is, if change is so important, how will we change? As an organization, keep the vision right and straight and articulate it effectively. Create organizational culture conducive to bring about change. Now, I would like to connect why 3M Corporation was so successful. If we look at the data today, 3M Corporation is considered world's most innovative company. Why? Because the efforts are valued. In order to make 3M most innovative company, the board of directors have promoted the idea that employees do not necessarily have to bring successful idea, they only have to bring ideas on the table. And in order to bring ideas on the table, a lot of creative and innovative thinking takes place through brainstorming. Keep the vision right and straight and articulate it effectively. I would connect Apple here. Apple's motto of think different, which was started by Steve Jobs when he, along with Steve Wozniak, invented or founded the company, is still continued by Tim Cook. Coordinate all stakeholders differently and effectively. There is a concept of profit maximization versus wealth maximization. If you only think about the owners, your thinking will stop at earning profit. But if you think about all the stakeholders, your horizon of thinking will broaden and you will take care about all the stakeholders. And if you adopt that idea, you will never go out of fashion, and your change would be a similar fashion of the modus operandi of your company. And that's what Performance with Purpose exactly did. Goal congruence, that is top vision and ability of employees. The vision of top authority sometimes do not connect with the ability of employees. Companies always want to do wonders, but are employees capable? If not, there has to be a provision of giving training and development. And that's what GE, General Electric, the then CEO Jack Welch did. The motto of Jack Welch was, if you see something is changing outside, but if you do not see something is changing inside, by inside he meant within the company, then the end is near. And because of this continuous curiosity and thrive, he never let his company become obsolete. That's the magic behind success and relevance of General Electric after 120 years. So that's the importance of change. And do we mean change just by cliche? Do we mean change just by haphazard change? We mean change as in the concept of bringing something improvised, something better tomorrow than what already exists today. And for that, Oliver Waldron Holmes suggested that greatness is not in where we stand, but in what direction we are moving. We must sail sometimes with the wind and sometimes against it, but sail we must. That means our efforts should be towards continuity. We must continuously thrive towards betterment. Sometimes we may not know if our direction is correct. Sometimes we may not know if our direction is with everybody's direction. But we must continue, because if we continue running, we will reach some of the destination. Let me take whatever I have said a notch higher. I have suggested all of you to make sure that you are not always in stagnation, to make sure that you are continuously changing. To change requires efforts of learning. To change requires efforts of observing. To change requires leadership and initiative skill. But adapting to change is one thing. When you adapt to change, there is a surety that you will never fail. But we want to stand out. As the managers of tomorrow, we do not want to adapt to change, we want to introduce change. And for that, I suggest you to be the change agent, meaning be someone who creates something new and thinks something new. With that, we end our session here. And now, after all the 3 sessions that you have attended, we have several MCQs for you. Attempt those MCQs and earn certificate. Thank you so much. We are ready to see what you change next.